Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. In today's video, I've got a little bit of an update on Caleb Harris, this handsome young man who disappeared in Corpus Christi over in America, literally disappeared from outside his door. He was outside his apartment. He was walking a dog. He was talking to his friends. He was caught on CCTV. He ordered his lunch for the next day. Everything seemed normal, no problems. And then Caleb, of course, completely just disappeared. And his family have gone through tortuous times searching for him. People have been searching the area, the wider area. There's been a lot of media attention, etc. But Caleb, he just could not be found until a couple of weeks ago when human remains were found. Let's just have a look at how that transpired. Sorry, I'll just take Caleb's photo off, otherwise first of all, I just want to show you how close it was. So all these weeks of not being able to find Caleb, this is where this is like the student residences where he was living. Now, quite mysteriously, he took a snap of the bridge. That was the last photo or the last Snapchat or message that he sent. So then his remains were found here in like a wastewater station, literally just at the back of where he lives. So all this time, everyone's been looking for him. It's heartbreaking to think that he was in these sewers, basically, just literally around the corner from where he lived. So why was he not found? And was it foul play? Or, as the police are suggesting now, it may have been some tragic accident. So let's have a look. The problem that the police have got at the moment is the human remains that they have found are, I don't know how to explain it, but he in a way that's not offensive, because there really is not much left, because he's been missing for so long and he's been in water. Anyway, so the missing student may have accidentally fallen into a manhole, police say, as they reveal new details of finding the body. A Corpus Christi, Texas investigator sheds light on one of the biggest unanswered questions: how Caleb Harris's body might have ended up in a wastewater well. Let's have a look at this video. So don't worry that you can't hear anything. There is no sound on this. So his body was discovered on June the 24th at the Perry Place wastewater lift station, over 3 months after he was seen leaving his off-campus apartment, according to police. But authorities speculate it's possible he was harmed and then put in the sewer system. But they are also speculating that an accidental fall is to blame, because there are no obvious signs. So he sent a Snapchat photo to a friend on the night he went missing. And now the police are speculating, was there a manhole covered with grass that had had its cover knocked aside? So the police say, we don't know how that occurred. It's an area that is farmed every year, so there's a likelihood that a farming implement knocked it off with the high grass growing across there. It would be sort of camouflaged to most people walking around there. So the manhole measured 25 inches wide and 15 feet deep. Did Caleb step accidentally into this manhole, or was he harmed and put in there? Police can't say for certain how he entered it, but they do believe this was the point of access to the sewer system. So basically what they're saying is they definitely think that's how he entered the sewer system. But whether he was put in that manhole or whether he accidentally, as he was walking across the fields, if he accidentally, because he couldn't see that the manhole cover was off, oh, the thought of it, it makes you go cold, doesn't it? The thought of him just, falling in there. So apparently the night he went missing was one of the foggiest nights in the area. But the police are going to investigate what they can. So the problem is the remains that they have to work with. It's difficult to ascertain the cause of death. However, they can't see any obvious cause of death. So no bullet holes. If there were, obviously, if there was a bullet hole in the skull, it'd be obvious it'd been for foul play. But there's no evidence of anything like that. So the authorities announced on the 17th of July that human remains found late last month at wastewater well had been identified as Texas A&M student Caleb Harris, who went missing on March the 4th. Deputy Chief Billy Breedlove of the Corpus Christi Police Department tells People is the magazine, that there was an open manhole located in a farm field around 600 feet from where authorities believe he was last seen. Surely they would have looked in there, that's all. I suppose if he'd been taken away. But anyway, the exact cause and manner of Caleb's death are still unknown, police said. As the investigation continues, Texas authorities are sharing new details about how the 21-year-old's body may have ended up at a wastewater well near his apartment without there being any evidence of obvious homicide. Let me just share this. The Corpus Christi Police Department announced on Wednesday, July that human remains discovered on June the 24th at the Perry Place wastewater lift station had been positively identified as belonging to Caleb, who was last seen in the early hours of March the 4th, leaving his off-campus apartment. But as police shut the door on one aspect of Harris's death, other unanswered questions remain. How did the student end up in the system in the first place? So Deputy Chief Billy Breedlove tells People they still do not know exactly what happened. It's possible that Caleb was harmed and then put there, and authorities have not ruled out the possibility of foul play, but they have no evidence of it. The investigator says it's also possible an accidental fall was to blame. Breedlove says that around 3:03 a.m. on March the 4th, Harris sent a Snapchat photo to a friend that showed a small bridge located a few hundred feet away from his apartment complex. And around 600 feet away from there, investigators found a manhole in a field. The manhole was covered with grass at the time, and no one was initially able to find this or notice that this hole was there. But importantly, its cover had been knocked aside. Now, the thing is, you would think that if somebody had put Caleb in there, they would have put the cover back on. That's all. That's just an observation. So maybe it is more likely that he fell in, because I'm sure if somebody went to all the trouble of putting Caleb in that hole, they would have put the lid back on. We don't know how that occurred, he says. It's an area that is farmed every year, so there's the likelihood that a farming implement knocked it off, and with the high grass growing across there, it would be camouflaged to most people walking around there. Another factor that may have impacted visibility is that the night Caleb went missing was probably one of the foggiest nights we'd had. So although they can't say for certain how he entered the manhole, which measured 25 inches wide and 15 feet deep, Breedlove says police do believe the open manhole was Harris's point of access into the sewer system. There are 4 other manholes on the roadway, and we cannot rule out that he entered the system in one of those, but it is more likely to have entered through the open hole, he says, adding that police are uncertain if there was water in the open manhole on the night of Caleb's disappearance. Breedlove tells people that someone actually called authorities about the open manhole on April the 18th, but when they went to the location and drained it, there was no indication of a body. Then they even went to the lift station where Caleb's body was eventually found and drained the tank there too. But again, they came up with nothing. Well, where was he? So he must have been in the transit during that time, was he? Or was he put in later? You know, oh dear me, this is just awful for his family to not have proper answers. I mean, they know that he's dead, obviously, but they will want to know what happened as well. So after authorities arrived, Breedlove says that the rest of the remains were gathered and transported to a facility where authorities could spread it out and empty that truck. We were able to find some other small pieces of bone. How sad, sad. After the remains were identified, Caleb's parents were immediately notified. They were waiting, Breedlove said. They had given consent for us to collect their DNA so we could make a comparison, since we did not have any DNA on file for Caleb. About the conversation they had with the family, Breedlove says, we've had a good relationship with them. At the time, we were expressing our sadness. It was tragic for them losing this young man. Breedlove says the investigation into the case, which he describes as unique, is ongoing. I mean, it's just, you know, strange things do happen. They do, you know, we keep saying this. It's the same like with Jay Slater, or, you know, sometimes people do go missing. There was the guy that we spoke about that had gone missing in Tenerife and was found down a ravine at the side of a shopping centre 2 years later. People do go missing in strange circumstances. You know, freak accidents do happen. And, you know, will we ever know, or will his family ever know, if this that happened to Caleb was a freak accident, or did somebody put this young boy in there, you know, hurt them and put them in there, or is it literally a freak accident? We've put together a team of very experienced investigators, he says. We had what we would consider good leads of some vehicles coming and going from the area, but they never materialised. It was very frustrating. So, of course, you know, they'll be doing their investigation, they're checking CCTV, dash cams, phone data, you know, all this takes time. Another source of frustration is the apartment complex where Harris lived had no working surveillance cameras, so people had to make do with footage from a nearby complex, which still did allow them to run down pretty much all the vehicles that had come and gone from that area at the time of his disappearance. The investigator says that police, like the entire Corpus Christi community, really hoped we would find him well. Instead, what they have to offer for his family is a different type of closure. Although they may never have all the answers, for now, Breedlove says the police are going to continue to investigate what they can. Harris's family, or Caleb's family, released a statement after the remains were identified, saying, "We all have heavy hearts this evening as we learned of the positive identification of our sweet Caleb. We will grieve our son," they continued. "Thank you for your prayers and support during this tragic." A student may have fallen into a manhole, police say. The 21-year-old's body was discovered on June the 24th at the Perry Place wastewater lift station. 3 months after he was seen leaving his off-campus apartment. Authorities speculate it's possible he was harmed and then put in the sewer system, but they also speculate that an accidental fall is to blame. Not far from where Caleb sent a Snapchat photo to a friend on the night he went missing, there was a manhole covered with grass that had its cover knocked aside. We don't know how that occurred. It's an area that's farmed every year, so there's a likelihood that a farming implement knocked it off, and with the high grass growing across there, it would be sort of camouflage to most people walking around there. The manhole measured 25 inches wide and 15 feet deep, although police can't say for certain how he entered it. They do believe it was his point of access to the sewer system. Also, the night that Caleb went missing, it was one of the foggiest nights. Despite not having all the answers, police are going to continue to investigate what they can. Okay, let's just have a look at another couple of videos just with some information.
Right now, it's going to be up to the medical examiner's office to identify the human remains. So that's where we're at right now.
The remains of missing college student Caleb Harris have been found and identified. This is according to police in Corpus Christi, Texas, who cited a DNA report. Now, this comes after human remains were recovered from a wastewater well last month. You may remember us telling you about that. And at that point, authorities were still waiting for a forensic analysis to be done before being able to make an identification. Now, this confirmation marks the end of a months-long search for Harris, who disappeared near his apartment in the early morning hours. Now, police say there were no obvious signs of homicide, although the advanced state of decomposition of his body made it impossible to make an identification or to find a cause of death. We're going to continue following this story and bring you any updates on the case of Caleb Harris as we have them.
So that was the breaking news when
Hi,
Tara Carl's on there. Okay, so let's see, we've got another one. So they had a vigil for him. The other students had a little vigil for him. Let's have a look at that. God bless Caleb and his family, of course.
Tonight with family and friends out at Cole Park this evening, remembering the life of Island University student Caleb Harris. After Caleb's remains were identified on Wednesday, the Corpus Christi community immediately responding with support as the family mourns the loss of him. Gathering together on Saturday to pay their respects to Caleb, lighting a candle and signing a cross to be presented to the Harris family. Well, Cole Park was a special place to Caleb, and he loved fishing, a fitting location for everyone to relive their favorite memories of him. Kelly Parsons, one of the organizers that put the vigil together, was proud of the turnout.
My thoughts and prayers are certainly with them and the whole Corpus community. We're all praying. I'm so proud of our community for coming together and supporting Caleb, his family, and yes, we will definitely be praying for them, not just today, but for always.
The vigil comes after human remains were found last month at a wastewater lift station on Lexington Road. They were sent to the University of North Texas for identification, and officials announced on Wednesday that it was Harris. The candlelit vigil was coordinated to help everyone grieve and begin the healing process.
That's very sweet, isn't it? So, yeah. Very sweet, very nice. Right. So, what do you think? What's your opinion? Do you think that Caleb, this is an accident? Is this some sort of freak accident? or do you think it's likely that there was foul play? Caleb was certainly outside the apartment with his other roommates or other people from, other people from the apartments, but it all looked very relaxed. There's no on the CCTV that was captured. Let's see if we can find that actually. There's seems no altercation. Caleb looks relaxed, smiling. He ordered his last his lunch for the next day. Apparently, he was a creature of habit. That's what he would do. And he ordered that. It was brought.
Academy continuing our coverage this Friday night into the urgent search for Caleb Harris. Tonight, we're reviewing new video of the Island University student appearing to be from the last night that he was seen.
A ring camera capturing some of his last movements before his mysterious disappearance.
So take a look here. Caleb can be seen in the parking lot at his.
So look, he'd been out, he took the puppy for a walk. He looks very relaxed. He's just got his hands in his pockets. Doesn't look like he's got a care in the world. But did something happen after that, So the police are not ruling in homicide or foul play, but they're not ruling it out either at the moment. They just do not know.
Off-campus apartment complex off of Ennis Joslin around 1 a.m. He was with one of his roommates, a friend, outside playing with a dog. Caleb's face visible as he looked toward the ring camera before they make their way back in the other direction on that night in early March.
And the search for Caleb Harris now in its third week. Just yesterday, his parents offering a reward of $25,000.
$25,000 reward. He's a very smiley boy, isn't he? He's, that's what just there he was with his whole life in front of him, whatever happened to him. So terribly sad. I mean, if that was an accident, it's sad if it was an accident. I mean, I think it's worse if it was foul play, maybe. It's horrible to think that somebody might have hated your son so much in a moment that they did something terrible to him. But, accidental death is just as bad because it's like he's been robbed of his future. And Caleb's family, they're quite religious, and that God, they'll be praying to God to help them get through it, but they must be a little bit angry with God as well, because sometimes it's hard to see the reason for things.
For his safe return. Now, to create a sense of urgency for anyone who may have information and hasn't come forward yet, a deadline of March 31st has been placed on that reward. You can call Crime Stoppers where you can remain anonymous. And we will, of course, continue to follow this story and update you with any new developments.
Academy continuing our coverage this Friday night.
Putting a time limit on the reward sort of sounds as if maybe they did feel it was some sort of foul play at the time, because trying to get people to come forward quickly. But, as I say, let me know in comments what you make of it all. Do you think it's foul play, or do you think it was just a tragic accident? Such a foggy night, the manhole cover off. What was he doing walking on the grass? People think he went to see the fog, because fog is does fascinate people, things like that. Maybe he just couldn't sleep and he felt like a walk. For me, I just think, why would he be out there in that grass walking along there at night? But do you know what? You never know what people do, all sorts of things. You cannot, you can never account. If only you could see into people's thoughts, isn't it? Or like rewind and see what happened. But yeah, very strange things do happen sometimes. I was reading a story not long ago about a lady who disappeared, and she was found eventually weeks later, literally in her garden. She had tripped down the hill in her garden. She had quite a big garden. In America it was. I don't remember her name or any of the specifics. I just remember reading it and thinking, oh my God. And they'd been looking for her for ages, and she was literally at the bottom of a hill in her own garden. You know, just crazy things do happen. So it's possible that Caleb may have fallen down that manhole himself. I hope the police, I don't know how the police, how are you ever going to prove any of it? Because, you know, obviously there's no film of that. There's been no film of him actually tripping down the, tripping into the manhole. But I suppose it's just a process of elimination. If they can't find any evidence of anyone coming and going that may have done something to Caleb and then put him there, then they have to presume that it's an accident. So it's extremely sad, and especially sad, I think, to think that all that time his family were looking for him, he literally was right there. You know, here's the drainage ditch. His remains were found there. I'm not sure whether where's the manhole. I wonder. I wish they would indicate where the manhole is. So what they're thinking is he's gone into the manhole, which I presume is here somewhere, gone along the drainage ditch when there's been a lot of rain, etc., and ended up in this wastewater. Oh, so awful for the person who found him as well. That's quite a traumatic thing to find, isn't it? Okay, that's it. So thank you for being here with me to watch this video. Godspeed to Caleb, and prayers for his